So in this training, I want to teach you what zone of awesome really means and how do you discover that and figure out how to start the right business. So when I start thinking about starting a business, this is what I want you to do. A couple things, okay? So we're gonna talk about this and figure out on a scale of 1 to 10, logically what makes sense, but I also want you to do a little research before. So the first thing that I want you to do as you're discovering what business you're gonna start and what your zone of awesome is, I want you to ask 5 of your friends these 2 questions. First, what are my strengths? And second, if you were gonna come to me for any help or advice, what would you ask me? And this is gonna give you some clarity and maybe even have you realize something that you're incredibly awesome at that other people see that you didn't realize. So that's the first thing I'm gonna have you do. Second, let's say that you are really passionate and excited about 2 different ideas. So let's say, maybe you love real estate and you're also a really good photographer. So which of those 2 businesses do you go with? So what we're gonna do is instead of taking the heart and kind of your emotion out of that, I wanna teach you a little bit more logical process to figure out which business to kind of go with. Okay, so we're gonna go to the whiteboard here. So let's think about, we've got 2 ideas that we want to work with. So we got, make sure you can see that idea. Number 1, so this is your real estate, maybe building that business. And idea number 2 is something to do with photography. I also want to explain that maybe you are really passionate. So say you're a health coach and you're trying to figure out which market or which niche to talk to. And as a business owner, you really want to get really specific with who you're speaking to. So maybe you're an incredible mindset coach, but you're not sure if you want to help people overcoming smoking or losing weight, right? So this is also going to help you if you're in a certain market and you're not sure who you need to be talking to. Okay, so the very first criteria that I want you to think about is the experience that you have with that. An experience can be what you've gone to college for, what you have taken classes on. It can be on any clients that you've taken on yourself and been able to have case studies, right? So what's your experience? And I want you to rate that on a scale of 1 to 10 of how good you are with idea 1 and idea number 2. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how incredible do you know your market and your experience with that? How do you have any, have you taught any classes? Have you spoken at any seminars? Have you written a book on it? So rate that with your experience where you fall with both of these ideas. Okay, so the second criteria that I want you to look at is how excited does the idea make you? Do you want to get up every single morning and start working on that? So go ahead and pick a number from 1 to 10 on how excited you are about that possible business, right? Okay, so the third criteria that I want you to think about is how ready are you to start your business right now? What kind of resources do you already have? Do you let's say, so for example, I was talking to a friend and she wants to start an app, right? That's part of her whole business model is she wants to have an app. Now, from experience, creating an app can cost a minimum of at least $10,000. So does she have the equipment, the resources to start that business right away? So go ahead and scale that for both of those ideas that you have on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, the last one, and this one is really, really important. So we're actually going to double this one. This is the money. 2 criteria on this one with expenses. How much is it going to take you to actually get the business running and run the business? So let's say you're a service provider and you actually have something that you need to create to fulfill. It's going to cost you a little bit more to make that business. Whereas if you're a coach or consultant, that's pretty cheap. You don't need much more of just your time and maybe like a a program or a website, things like that. So your expenses are going to be kind of low. The second thing I want you to think about with expenses is how much money can I make with this business? So if for one market that you're speaking to, it's young moms, well, you might not have a product that you can sell at a very high price. And so your income is not going to be as high as, let's say, maybe you have a product that you're speaking directly with business owners and the executives of a business, okay? So go ahead and write those numbers down. So let's say for experience, for idea 1, that you have a lot of experience, and in idea 2, not as much. So go ahead and write those numbers down. For excitement and how excited you are about your business, you're maybe not as excited about this one, but this one is a little bit higher. As far as being ready with the equipment, they're pretty equal. So let's say that's at a 7 and that's at a 7. And as far as the money and the profit and the expense, idea 1, you're going to make a lot more money. And so that's at a 9, but remember we're going to double that. So let's actually make that 18. And idea 2 is not as high, and so let's say it's about a 5 or 10, okay? So based on those, and this is going to help you take all that emotion out of it, right? And just logically look at this. And you know what? Along the process as you're doing this, a lot of times you'll lean towards one idea or the other and get more excited about the other. But if we're going to scale it and just kind of decide based on the numbers and the criteria here that we have listed to figure out which is the right business for you to start or the right market to market to, based on these numbers here, idea 1 is going to win, okay? So this is just a really great way for you to weed out and decide if you have 2 great passions and things that you love, and you can't merge them. Sometimes we can merge them, but if you can't merge them, this is a great way to decide which one should you lean towards. Okay, so there you have it. I hope this explanation really made you understand what your zone of awesome is. It's what you feel incredible doing. It's also what people just stop and say, you know what? You are awesome at that. And building a business around your zone of awesome is going to make you so much happier, make you so excited. It's going to help you make money, and it's going to help you start the right business as we move forward through the Master's Online Business course.